Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the SKNIS Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
Good day. I'm Kylie Johnson, welcoming you to another edition of InFocus, a weekly program where we take a closer look at what's happening within and across the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is happening right here in our communities. But what if your community could lead the response with backed by real funding? Well, that's where the Community's Climate Adaptation Facility, or C-CAF for short, comes in. Today, we'll break it all down with Mrs. Telka Wallace, a member of the C-CAF Technical Committee. Stay with us. InFocus will be right back.
Today, St. Kitts and Nevis also announced in partnership with Global Center for Climate Mobility the launch of our C-CAF funding. This is our Community Climate Adaptation Facility funding. Applications have been open for over a week and will continue until August 15th. It's a short funding window, but we have set up a technical committee that will allow eligible groups to access between $5,000 US to $100,000 US funding. No strings attached for projects around climate resilience and climate adaptation.
Thanks for staying with us, and as I said, I'm joined by Mrs. Telka Wallace, a member of the C-CAF Technical Committee. Now, C-CAF, I'm pretty sure it's new to many of us here in St. Kitts. It's a new concept, a new term to many of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So my first question, of course, is what exactly is a Community's Climate Adaptation Facility?
Very interesting question. C-CAF is a facility, and it's new. It's a new initiative to St. Kitts and Nevis. It basically is supported by the Global Center for Climate Mobility, globally, and so St. Kitts is part of that now. And it is designed to help communities in the context of climate change. We hear about climate change, and climate change is a costly product of what is happening globally. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we hardly do anything to impact the climate.
Yes.
But we are adversely affected by it. And so this is a global facility. And let me take this opportunity to thank Minister Joyal Clark for going out there and really bringing home the bacon, because this facility would help our vulnerable communities to respond or to adapt to climate change with funding that becomes available under this initiative.
Good. So can you give us just a brief idea of the makeup of this of the technical committee, your peers on this technical committee, if you can?
The technical committee is made up of key individuals who work at the community level in different aspects. The committee is made up of persons from different spheres of life. For example, you have persons who have been involved for decades in project writing.
Yes.
You have persons who have been involved in community initiatives and basically working within the community. And it is under constituency empowerment, the Department of Constituency Empowerment, and they have a data collection arm of the constituency empowerment. And so the head of that committee is also part of the technical team, because they go out there and they collect data.
Yes.
So they have real-time information on what is happening on the ground, and the different groups and individuals who have been impacting their community. And so the technical team will basically, when this call have gone out, and we are awaiting person's response, and to see where the technical committee can assist, analyze what comes in, and assist in making sure that the different projects that come in are aligned with the different initiatives. Because if you know that there is water and sanitation improvements, there is community health projects, there is climate resilient housing, there is environmental restoration and coastal preservation, there is livelihood support and life skill training, and there is cultural heritage preservation centered around climate adaptation.
So all of these are areas that people can...
Yes, so you have persons who are involved in culture, persons involved in health, have persons involved in data collection, and so it's a holistic approach to the implementation of this project.
Sounds good.
Yes.
And one may ask, why would SKNIS and Nevis need this type of funding?
I thought of that myself, and it is, we have to look at St. Kitts and Nevis in the context of finance. Finance is what drives everything.
Sure.
And so we look at government, and you know, government operate on an annual basis where they send in a budget and they try to get the money to do what is necessary. You have the private sector that also contribute greatly to our development. And there is another set of persons who are hardly ever mentioned, which are volunteers, community groups. So our society is made up on different pillars that holds the society up. And so when you look at our vulnerable, we look at one of the things that happens a lot of time when we are writing projects is that the project documents take into account the man hours of volunteers and cost it. So when you look at getting this project on board and being able to put 10, 20, 30, up to $100,000 into a community or into the federation, finance, it affects everyone across the board. Because if you're going to be doing skills training and livelihood training, you know, we are going to be enhancing our skills bank within, and it makes us a better country. If you're going to be looking at the health sector and doing things within the health sector, that would help us to be more resilient in the context of climate change. Bearing in mind that you have to find ways and means of getting food security, health security. Food security is health security. So all of these comes into play. So why not St. Kitts and Nevis? We need it just as much as anyone else. And when we look at our landscape and our topography, and we see the impact that climate change is having on us, we have to find ways and means of adaptation. Adaptation looks at livelihood, it looks at health, looks at food security. These are the ways to stay afloat.
Good. And yes, of course, as you mentioned, it's relatively new to us, especially. Yes. I think we might be the first in the region to have implemented this facility. But in your opinion, what sets it apart from other climate-related funding programs that others may have heard about? What makes the C-CAF different?
Well, the C-CAF is a very good initiative. As a community worker for many years, a lot of times a project comes from the top down or from the region down, and then it is not sustainable, because if you bring something to me, when it's finished, it's finished.
Yes.
But if coming from the community level now, when the community say, I would like to have this, there is already buy-in. And so they would be happy to work with an initiative that they initiated, that they brought to the table. And when you, at the community level, when you listen to someone and you do what they ask, there is no greater joy than for the community to come back and look at what they themselves have implemented.
So there's that sense of community pride as well you're creating within it.
And remember, you have young people looking on,
True.
even their children. And so when it comes from the bottom up, it is more sustainable. As a matter of fact, if you look at it, we are, even though the ideas come up, it also have a bottom down. If you have a simultaneous approach to it, where you have the bottom up and the top down,
Yes.
where the top down is able to support the bottom up, then you get a best case scenario, because everybody has buy-in.
So it's like you brought everyone to the table, everyone at the same table.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Good. And you mentioned it slightly, but how, in your opinion, as one who's been working in these communities for many years, how is climate change, in your mind, affecting our communities here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, just yesterday, I was driving around with my children. We were looking for cotton plants. You know about cotton plants?
Yes.
Okay. That is the kind of plant that was all over St. Kitts.
Yes.
And when I tell you, we came upon about three trees that were not even faring well.
Wow.
And you look at other things, like just earlier in the year we were getting a lot of rain.
Yes.
And then the rain paused and the heat is on now. And so you see the impacts of climate change. You see, my background is in disaster risk management, community disaster risk management. And for many years, we have been hearing about climate change, but it is an alien factor to us.
Yes.
Until you go down the western coastline and you see we are, after Hurricane Omar, the government had to literally move persons further inland because the wave was so high. Then you look around the road by Fort Thomas,
Yes.
and you see the road is undermined,
It's undermined, yes.
because the sea is coming in. If you look down in the Sandy Point area going west, you realize we have a lot of slope failures down there. Even the what we used to call the leper home, the leper,
Yes.
the wall and all is caving in. Yes.
Wow.
And there is the funding is not there to be able to arrest all of this. This is a lot of unexpected expenses on the government, and you're not talking about small
figures. Yeah.
No, because those areas are deep down. They're not. You see the old road-based situation.
Yes.
They are not, to be able to address it. It is going to be more complex. So the sea level is rising. It is affecting us. And on the land, we find that we are not having the water that we used to have years ago. Now the government is struggling to find ways of providing water that could help all of the homes. Years ago, we never had any major water challenges. Now we are having those.
Yes, and it's all related to
Yes, it's all related to climate is changing.
And with all those factors, now how do community groups can play a role in this? I mean, you may have a small group inside the point in an old road. How can groups play a bigger part in the whole topic of climate change?
Well, there are many areas. First of all, there's education and sensitization to the impacts of climate change. And then you have to look at what you're mobilizing. What can I do as an individual, as a group, as a community, if you are a coastal community and you remember the years when you used to have great bush and manganiel bush lining the coast, then you can do a project, or you can have a community initiative that you can say, let us put up a little nursery here, and every year we plant a few trees to help to protect the coast, right? And then if you live in a community that is close to the mountain, you can look at reforestation, because not only do we have the effect of climate change, but we have the challenges associated with the monkeys.
Yes.
Because when sugar was king, there was the sugar belt around the island. There was a way the monkeys did not come into the ground as much. Now it's like a free-for-all.
It is. Yes.
So we not only have to look at reforestation, we have to look at the kind of plants that we plant, so that we can, at the same time, protect our farmers, protect food security. You have to look at what does the monkey like. Let us plant some of what the monkey like as a first line of defense. Yes. Well, these are some of the things in the community.
And so, given all that, how much that community can do, this is why you would advocate for funding or investment in the grassroots efforts, rather than always at the top level to come down.
That is true. As you know, the country is promoting sustainable island state.
Yes.
And the sustainable island state can only be achieved through human resource mobilization, where everybody is thinking about the same thing. Having our country being placed in a position of sustainability.
And that this project promotes
just that.
Good.
And this project also, there is a sort of a maturity to these kind of projects. When you empower community becomes more mature, because they lifting up big responsibilities.
That's true.
And writing a project, learning to write a project. If you come up with an idea and someone can take you step by step to it and make sure you have everything in place, then next time you know what to do better.
You know what to do.
Yes.
You can now pass on that
knowledge.
Information.
Yes.
Okay, so we will take a quick break, and we'll be right back to more of InFocus. Stay with us.
Our work with our strategic partners, when we leave to meet with them, when we participate in international conferences, is showing fruits. And for us, we know that the fruits for constituents and residents and citizens is access to funding to make changes in their livelihoods. And the Ministry of Environment, Climate Action, Constituency Empowerment et al. Is proud to say that yet again we are delivering access to climate finance, funding, and tangible options for people to transform their lives.
Thanks for staying with us. More with Mr. Okawalis here in InFocus. And of course, we are talking about the Community's Climate Adaptation Facility, or C-CAF for short. And also, C-CAF, who is eligible for funding? Who are some of the people eligible for funding under this program?
Okay. This is a really good initiative, because it does not restrict to one category of persons. They can be community groups, it can be small groups, can be women and girls, it can be persons in different sectors based on the criteria that is here. there are a lot of young people out there. For example, there are some young men out there. I think a few months ago, a group of young men had approached constituency empowerment about the fact that they are fishermen. And they wanted to have a little pier that they can pull up to and to beautify the area and so on. I mean, that could be tied in because it's associated with coastal rehabilitation. Then there are persons like persons who play the masquerade and other historic and cultural groups that can apply, because you're looking in the context of climate change, you're looking at livelihoods.
Yes.
You're looking at sustaining your cultural, because your cultural heritage, and also looking at preserving the cultural heritage. And preserving cultural heritage means that you're going to pass it on to the next generation.
The next generation, yes.
Yes. And you can't just wait until Christmas time come to just do a little practice.
That's true.
And some of the masquerades and so on have shown us that cultural exhibits you can make a living from it.
Of course.
Some of the masquerade and Christmas gone there, I saw the mummies dress up so nicely, right? They are preserving our cultural heritage. And so when you look at all of these areas, you see environmental groups, like I am in the MAB.
The MAB, yes.
And the MAB is wanting to get on board with this because we are looking at environmental restoration and coastal protection. As a matter of fact, they say Mary's Biosphere have a coastal core zone and a terrestrial core zone. So we fit into the reforestation at the beach level and at the mountain level.
Good.
So there are a lot of different groups and individuals. And the application, I went through the application as well. The application is not so challenging. The first phase of the application is not so challenging. So if you get a little bit of guidance, you'll be able
to execute the project.
To carry out the project.
Good.
Yes.
And can I, as an individual, you mentioned some established groups, can I, as an individual, could be myself and a good friend,
yes,
can we just walk up and say, well, look, we have this idea, but we are not associated with a registered group or an NGO. We are just two individuals from Lodge who would like to do this project. Can we just register and be a part of this?
Yes, that's the beauty about this initiative. You know, all the time I just say, when I'm doing work, I don't watch no face. This initiative is not watching no face. You come with your project idea, you develop your project, and you send in your application, and once it's approved, you go to the next level.
Good.
See?
Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, how much are the persons, our groups, entitled to receive under this project, and what exactly will the funds will be used for?
Well, whenever a group does a project proposal or a concept, they would, for this particular project, you can go up to $100,000 US. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of
for
money.
a group.
Yep.
Basically, you develop your budget, you develop your timeline, and the budget will determine what the funds will be used for. You have to look at several things you have to look at when you're doing a project. You have to first look at what is the problem that I'm trying to solve. And so you develop your goal and your objective towards the goal. And then you look at your activities that would carry you to the outcomes that you're looking for.
Yes.
Then you look at who are my targets, my stakeholders. Who are my stakeholders? Who are the person who are going to benefit from this? What is going to be the benefit of this? Because it may not be individual, but it may be the environment.
Yes.
Right? So you look at all of that, and then you develop your activities based on what you want to achieve.
Yes. Okay, and so persons, once you reach that phase, and of course you're approved, is it the group that receives the money, or would they have to submit requests for funds to get things done as part of their projects?
Because it's under the Department of Constituency Empowerment. For me, I in some instances, based on the financial situation, the money would be dispersed to the group.
Yes.
But bear in mind that when you get funding, you have to have your receipts, checks and balances.
Checks and balances,
there has to be transparency. Because, let's say for example, I take the money and I don't do what the money was supposed to do.
Yes.
Right. Then where is going to be my reporting? There has to be a reporting system where every 3 months or whatever interval you send in a report with the funds that you would have used and what they would have done with them. There would be persons from constituency empowerment who would be supporting on the ground. And so it is best to do the transparent thing of making sure you dot every I and cross every T.
That's true. That is true.
Yes.
And as you mentioned, folks from constituent empowerment will be on the ground. So is that technical support a big aspect of this whole project? As I think you mentioned it earlier, writing a project, it can be challenging.
Yes.
Yes. So it
can be intimidating. Yes, very intimidating.
So is there technical support from as part of the project that can assist with this?
Yes, the technical team. If there are any challenges that any group or individuals are having, we are willing to work with them, because as I say, my background is disaster management. I worked for NEMA for many years.
Yes.
And when we get money, not a penny going back. We're going to spend every penny here. So in that respect, we want our communities to be empowered.
Good.
That is what constituency empowerment is about. And that is what the minister and the government is about, empowering our communities and constituencies to be self-sufficient as much as possible.
Good, good. And how can persons access the information, access the application, of course, and possibly the guidelines under this project?
Well, there has been some flyers going around on Facebook and on WhatsApp, and it has on all of the information that a person would need to apply. This is the application. This is the flyer that went around.
Okay.
That shows everything that you need
all
to
the
know.
Information.
Yes, there's a website there that you can go on to access the information as well as the application.
And it says here that it's on the department's social media page, their Facebook page, so you can visit their Facebook page as well, and you will see the information right there. And it states that you can also call the department for guidance and inquiries, and they can be reached at 467-1579. So those are a few ways that folks out there can get access to this information and get up to speed with what's going on with the C-CAF project, a very important project.
Yes, and you have a code where you can scan, and when you go on the site, you would see eligibility.
Yes.
And you look at community-based organization, non-governmental organization, grassroots group. Some of them who ain't even have no name.
No names yet.
Informal community groups and networks, and cooperatives. We have our farmers cooperatives. We have different cooperatives around the island that could do well with this.
And of course, your presence here on InFocus is one step, is one measure in terms of sharing the information out there with the public. But are there any other upcoming planned community meetings or information sessions where a person can learn more about this very important project?
One of the challenges that we have had is that sometimes you learn about funding late. And so there are a lot of gymnastics that you have to do to make sure that you get the outcome that the ministry is looking for. And so we are having several media interviews so that the public can know all they can about this initiative. Also, the constituency empowerment and the technical team will meet with any group or organization that wishes to put in a project. And if they're having any challenges, we will be there to assist them.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yes.
Okay, so we will take another short commercial break and we'll be right back with more on InFocus.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to InFocus. With me, as you know, is Mr. Kawalis, a member of the C-CAF Technical Committee, and she's here sharing all the information one may need, or any organization, individual, or group may need to access funding via this very important facility, C-CAF. So question, so what's your message to youth, women's group, or the other grassroots organizations out there who may feel like their voice isn't being heard on climate when it comes to climate action and climate change? We have this new facility. What would be your message to these groups, these individuals, these organizations out there who may want to raise their voice on the whole issue of climate change?
Well, I would say this is a great opportunity for any group. Youth, I especially like the fact that young people are coming on board to do things within their community. When you see young people are engaged, if you go into a church and you see all old people, what do you say?
You might turn back, you might feel discouraged.
You feel discouraged.
Yes.
That is why we are promoting young persons to come on board. As a matter of fact, as you would have seen, the person who was supposed to be here with me is a young person.
Yes.
I don't move without youth, because then you'll be wasting your time. If you do not have young people at the front and center of anything that you're doing, what is going to happen to what you're doing when you pass on or you're no longer able to do it? So it is always important to have the involvement of youth. Not only that, you have to look at gender. Everything that we do has to be gender sensitive.
Yes.
And I don't know how many persons notice it, but a lot of time in our federation, we have to encourage our young men. And because we have a different disposition here in St. Kitts and Nevis than in a lot of other societies.
That's true.
Where we have to encourage more of our young men to become involved. This is your country, and we want young people to succeed. And a lot of times young people would say, oh, we're not getting any chance. We're not getting any chance. This is an opportunity for you to be able to apply, to get funding, for you to be able to put yourself in a management position at a young age. Because if you're able to manage a project, manage funds, as I say, this project is sort of helping to mature persons,
yes,
helping to mature communities, young people. And sometimes women organizations say, we are not getting the support that we need, and we are vulnerable. Even seniors, everybody can apply for this.
Good.
And there is no reason for you to step aside and say, well, I'm not applying, because as you could see, this information is put out there. It shows you who are eligible.
Yes.
It shows you what assistance is available, we will help you.
Good. And if you guys receive the feedback, you guys envision or hoping that you would receive
Yes.
from the organizations, the communities.
Yes.
If you receive that level of response from them, how do you think this can help transition St. Kitts, let's say 5-10 years down the line, transition our communities? How do you think, with the assistance of C-CAF, St. Kitts and Nevis can be transformed going down the line?
How do I think? It can only amount to the positive. It can, because when you go to places like Japan, South Korea, other places, you see young people taking their place in society. When you come to St. Kitts too, we have young people taking their place in society, but we want every young person to take their place. Every young person is valuable. As a matter of fact, every individual in our society is valuable. And when you look at your community and you can see where you can assist in putting your community forward, if you see a need in your community, like a lot of times person don't have the requisite skills, the life skills,
Yes.
and you want person to get these skills, so you come up with a project of training and developing life skills, and so you can transfer. We have people in the community who you can transfer that knowledge.
Yes.
And so it is a win-win situation. This project can, when you look at 5-10 years down the line, you see positives. Because when we, as community people, we look at generations.
Yes. Yes.
And passing on things to the good things we want to pass on to the next generation. And so when you bring on something like this, the impact of it would be far-reaching.
Good. And now, as one who have been out there in the communities doing such good work, when you look around, in your this is your personal, what's one project you would like to see at least one group or organization take up that you believe can be very transformative, game-changing for us here in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Many. When I look at our federation, some of the things that we look at right now, UNESCO under the MAP program is implementing the plastic-free in the MAP.
Yes.
When you look at, in my day growing up, when I went to buy black pudding, I used to carry an old spal up in a milk bowl and get my pudding. I did not impact the environment in any way. So anything that would, any initiative that would help to save our environment is good. Good, and it will be long-lasting. Then there's another thing that I didn't even speak about in terms of climate change. During the sugar industry, during the time of the sugar industry, you had all of these feeder roads between the cane fields.
Yes, yes.
And one of the things that used to happen is that the estates used to maintain those feeder roads, used to maintain the sluices, because, you know, the water coming downhill with gravity. And I believe that those sluices used to help to replenish our aquifers. And this is another thing, because you're thinking about a sustainable island state.
Sure.
It is not something that a quick fix. You have to look at what works and what can be used. So if we can go back to our islands and reclaim those feeder roads and replace those sluices, so that not only does it slow down the force of water when we do get rain, but that a lot of the water would be captured in our soil. So it is not something that is big and sexy. It's basic and long lasting. Once you put back in those feeder roads, because sometime even in Kayan the other day, there was an accident and the road was blocked.
Yes.
And you have to go find another road to get out of Kayan if you want to get out. But then I think of the ambulance. I think of somebody get hurt. How are they going to get out? So these feeder roads are very important to our sustainability. As simple as you might take it,
As you said,
we can't take it simple.
It's not sexy, but it's very...
Very, 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 very much needed. So what did we get to replace the sugar estates? We, you dig out those sluices, you keep those roads clear, etc. These are some of the things that would help us to maintain our soil and at the same time capture that water for generations to come.
Yes, which is so desperately needed.
Yes, yes.
And now, of course, you touched on the MAB a short while ago. But how is the MAB doing? What is the MAB doing to help protect our environment, protect our coastline? Can you just give us some details on the work of the MAB? Because to me, it is very important.
Yes, the work of the MAB is very important. And even I say in Sustainable Island State all the time, but the MAB is a pilot project towards sustainability. As I said earlier, the MAB has a core area in the marine area and a core area in the terrestrial area. And these areas are protected under law.
Okay.
Yes.
You know that?
Yes, under law. And you have the marine core area that is protected as well. You can't do certain things in the mountain. You can't go up in the mountain willy-nilly and above the 1,000 feet and cut down anything. Otherwise, you can be persecuted.
Well,
you can't go in the marine area either and do things that would affect our fish life. Because in the MAB area, we have the North and South Reef. And the North and South Reef is basically a habitat for young fish.
okay.
And so the fish life is very important for us to be able to have fish, seafood. We also have the endangered species of leatherback turtles that come in to lay their eggs there. And we also have birds that come down, migratory birds that come down. Within the St. Mary's biosphere, we also have flora and fauna that are indigenous to that area. So it's a lot of things being protected, but not just the environment. We have our historical artifacts that came down from slavery.
Yes.
And thinking about slavery is a very painful thing for all of us. But we have to look at what our forefathers would have built. And we have to, that is our heritage. If we have embraced all the pain of slavery, we have to embrace the fact that our forefathers built these that have lasted hundreds of years. And we have to protect them.
That's true.
So within the St. Mary's Biosphere Reserve, all of these, and I don't know if you know that there's a new bill. There was the NCEPA bill, and the NCEMA bill is now to replace the NCEPA. And thankfully, the MAB have been placed under the NCEPA so that it would be protected for generations to come. And so, as we move towards making our whole island sustainable, we have a model in the St. Mary's Biosphere Reserve, and every 2 years or so, we write projects that would assist in maintaining or preserving. For example, we clean the beaches. I'm sure you hear
of course,
of a lot of beach cleanups that is being done by different entities. We have the Turtle Monitoring Network that is doing a marvelous job in the Biosphere Reserve and outside of the Biosphere Reserve too. When turtles, because of the sea level rising, when turtle come in, especially in Keys Bay area, the beach is kind of sometimes undermined. So the network now, sometimes the turtle cannot go up the hill.
Yes.
So they would lay eggs where they can reach, and then the network now will go and move them to a safe location. And even in moving them, Dr. Stewart, who is the key person, they have noticed that if the eggs become too hot, they become all females.
Oh, really?
So the temperature, you know, men are temperamental. So the eggs have to be placed in a way that they won't get too hot.
Yes.
They will have the right temperature so they can reproduce and have balance.
Good.
Because when a turtle is hatched, you go back into the sea. And sometimes you have up to 200 eggs. But it is said that of the 200 that you get, like only one will make it to adulthood.
Wow.
Which is 30 years. A turtle takes 30 years before it starts to lay eggs.
Wow.
So we have to protect all of these. And why do we have to protect the turtles? Because they eat the jellyfish.
Yes.
And if they do not eat the jellyfish will destroy
Take over, yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Good. Okay, and a key part of what you have mentioned is that bridging that generational gap when it comes to climate change and the environment. So you guys are hoping that the C-CAF, this new project, would help to motivate our youth groups in particular to take up the mantle, lead the fight in climate change. This is something you guys would like to see coming out of this project.
As a matter of fact, we are getting, as part of the MAP committee, we have young persons in the Keon High School and in the Keon Primary School. We have done training with, they have graduated to MAP ambassadors. Okay. We have done livelihood training, teaching them about the jobs and entrepreneurship that they can take up that would not negatively affect the community. And so when you look at young people in the St. Mary's Biosphere Reserve area, you look at a group of persons who come and say, what can we do to help? And that is what we want to happen. We want people to become so aware that they are now looking at what is my role in making sure this happens.
Good, and that is very important. So before we wrap up, I would allow you to give your final take on the C-CAF project, and just to encourage the folks out there to seize this opportunity and get this funded.
Yes. Well, as we said earlier, this is a new initiative in St. Kitts and Nevis, and that groups and organizations and individuals can access up to $100,000 in funding. I mean, how much can you do with that kind of funding? A lot.
Exactly.
Because a lot of times you find people asking, what can UNESCO do to help me? But UNESCO too have to write projects to get funding.
Yes.
And when you write to get funding, you have to say upfront what you're going to do with the money. So nobody can come in there down the road and say, well, help me because I have strict guidelines under which my project is being implemented. So I would say that everybody out there who have a dream, who would like to see something positive happening in the community, who is part of an informal group, whether it's a formal group, a church-based organization, guys under the shed or under the tree, but have an idea that they would like to see develop, access this funding. Do your best to access this funding, because in accessing this funding, all of our communities can be empowered. And when you put funding into a community, you can see changes. Even with the MAB that I've been involved in recently. More recently, I used to be involved in all of the communities, but now I just deal with the MAB. Even with the MAB, when you have a funding, if you have a training, somebody in the community is going to cook for the training.
Yes.
And so they are going to be impacted. You got to go in a place in the community, so they are being impacted. You're going to invite people from the community, so they will be impacted. And so we want our communities to come forward, our groups, our organization, individuals come forward, and bear in mind we have a short window of opportunity. The deadline for submission is August the 15th. So a lot of people would have been able to go on the website, would have gotten it in the WhatsApp, would have seen it online. It is not a hoax, it's for real. Good. You can access up to $100,000 to implement a project in your community. Take this opportunity to do so.
Good. And with that, I want to thank you so much, Mrs. Wallace, for joining us on this edition of Upfront. So we spoke all day about the Community's Climate Adaptation Facility, or C-CAF. It's a wonderful opportunity. Can access up to $100,000 for a very, very important initiative, that's climate action, which is definitely needed here in St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you once again for joining us here on InFocus. See you next time.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.